sometimes in life, if you want to get to the truth, you have to look at the numbers. Unfortunately, 50% of all dogs over 10 years old will die of cancer, and the other 40 to 50% suffer miserably from skin issues or joint problems. And this is widely attributed to your dog's diet. These numbers are what inspired Dr. Dennis Black to create Ruff Greens. With thousands of testimonials and 5-star reviews every month, Ruff Greens is now the #1 all-natural dog supplement in America. They've helped millions of pups, like mine, stay active and be healthy. And your pup could be next. Fetch a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. You just cover shipping. Go to ruffgreens.com. Just use promo code DISCO. That's RUFFGREENS.com. Promo code DISCO. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Ruff Greens.
And now, Disco, if you want to take it away with the review for Dynamite.
Did you watch the AEW Grand Slam last night, Konnan?
Yes.
And Harry, did you watch it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
thank God it wasn't 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, so.
And I just read SmackDown goes back to 2 hours in next month. Thank God.
Right. Let me read something here. So, is today a federal holiday?
Yeah, Juneteenth.
Don't be insensitive, Disco.
Oh, I forgot that it's actually a federal holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, is that like a new? Has it always been a federal holiday?
Juneteenth.
It's been a few years. Yeah.
Like how many years?
I'll find out. I think it's been 3 or 2.
You know, it's kind of weird. Well, that's because I work in a club, so we don't even acknowledge holidays and stuff because we got to work at night. We work on holidays anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the 5th year of being recognized in 2021.
Right.
But it's been celebrated since 1866.
Right.
Federal holiday since 2021.
So it's interesting. I don't know what did you have the numbers on this show, by the way, Joe, yet?
I don't believe so.
Dave said it'd be really silly to complain about almost anything this week that took place in Mexico, but why was this moment not on TV? And he shows that Brian did. We'll talk about that later. But I do have something to complain about, okay? This show is still being produced for an American audience, and so the show opens up with Adam Page comes out. I mean, Konnan, you probably had no issue with this because you speak Spanish, but for people like me that do not speak Spanish, he cut about a 5-minute promo here, and I didn't understand a word he said. He spoke Spanish.
His Spanish is not that good. Okay, well,
give me. So you rate this. Tell me how this interview was because I didn't understand what he was saying.
Well, he endeared himself.
Chinga su madre, which is like
he did not say that.
He did say it at the end. I thought he said
remember
Chinga
him
su
saying
madre
that.
at the
No,
end.
he didn't.
No, he said te voy.
You can't say that on TV.
He said te voy a partir tu madre. I'm gonna.
Right.
That's weird. I'm reading the review. He says he then worked in a. Which you can change. I don't know. And then
you can't say that, bro.
You can't say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
like those are like you're right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he cut out. So what did he say in this promo?
Just basically, he was like catering to the Mexican fans by saying that they're hardworking people. Thank you for inviting us to Mexico. I couldn't believe how long he was speaking Spanish. Because you could understand it, but it's the people went there to have a good time. They weren't going to boo him. Like the guy's making an effort to speak Spanish, you know what I'm saying, and he's putting us over.
I mean, it's a little. To me, it was a little bit more important than pandering to the fans that you have in the arena when you have 700,000 people watching at home, and you're trying to build to a pay-per-view with Jon Moxley. And this is their main angle on the show, and the guy's not.
Well, you have a point. You have a point. My favorite part. My favorite part was Tony Schiavone or Excalibur or both repeating what he was saying, and I'm thinking, you guys don't speak Spanish, so it had to be.
They're trying to talk over him, yo.
Yeah, they were trying to. They were trying to translate. Yeah,
it was very simple. All you really needed to do was have him come out and speak English with an over Spanish guy in the ring with them to repeat it for the pops.
Right. That's what we do.
Right. So I don't understand why they didn't do that. So
what do you think of this?
Maybe that's why they didn't do that. It's because that's what you guys do.
Well, yeah, I doubt it. But what do you think? What do you think, Harry?
No, I loved it that Hangman went out there and did the effort and tried delivering a promo in Spanish. I thought it was just going to be the beginning of the promo in Spanish. Like,
right now, it's a whole
my
thing.
name is Hangman. But then when it kept on going, I was like, he's going to do the whole thing. So as a Spanish speaker, it was cool listening to him and understanding what he was saying. But then it got annoying when Excalibur waited until he finished talking to then start translating. And then Hangman started speaking again while Excalibur was talking. So when you usually watch something like that, they speak over the person, so they can listen in the ears what the person is saying, and you translate it as it's going on, and you just got to play with the audio to make it a good experience for the viewer at home. So I agree with Disco. If you are on American TV and that's your primary way of making money, I feel that this promo should have been done in English, but I appreciate big time Hangman doing it in Spanish.
Well, that's what they do. That's one of the issues this company has. They play too much to the smaller audience instead of playing to the
Pandering.
bigger audience. So, all right. So next was, so you tell me a little bit about these guys.
I'll say this,
Adam
Disco.
Cole.
It was their first time ever in Mexico. The arena was jam-packed. So I don't see a reason why you should then do something where the arena feels appreciated. The people might come back to watch them next time.
Yeah,
Well,
but I
the
thought they may have expected them to be speaking English because it's an AEW show. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. Adam Cole, Templario, Atlantis Jr., Brody King, Daniel Garcia, and Bandito. It's like they should have announced this as a rugby sevens match because it was seven.
Yeah, there's seven. There's too many people, bro.
Way too many. It's against Hichiseto, Dax, Takeshita, Fletcher, Archer, Josh Alexander, and Volador Jr. Let me ask you a question about Atlantis. How old is Atlantis and how old is Atlantis Jr.?
The Atlantis, the dad must be 60.
Okay, because the finish of this match involved Atlantis. Atlantis is mixing up with Dax, and they battle back and gloated the crowd, but then he got rolled up for a 3 count by Atlantis in a surprise finish. The finish was like ridiculous. It was like, dude, it was like there was no like crescendo building up to that. It was just like a 15-minute match, and then the guy just grabbed him in a small cradle, like almost like they missed something to do before that would have like led there. And they just hooked him and pinned him. So the finish kind of looked like a little. I guess the match was fine for that, whatever. But 7
So
like, what do you do 7 on 7? It's like, just we'll do these spots. Or right, yeah, go ahead.
Atlantis turns 63 this year. Atlantis Jr. is 27.
Right. I'm thinking
Just
I'm
go,
going to come into AAA and manage. I want to manage somebody to come in. I want to bring a new wrestler to AAA. I've already got the gimmick. Want to who I want to bring in?
No.
Pepe Avocado. He's a lucha. He's a Pep.
Migrant worker by day.
It's a migrant
luchador
worker.
by night. Right.
We tell the story.
And
like,
he's the guy that you saw the ice running after in the strawberry.
No. So we literally that's the vignette.
Right.
He's like in the fields and he's like playing. He's like doing a lot of tricks in the field, like acrobatic stuff. Ice comes running after him, but he's the only one that gets away, and he runs, out in through the bushes.
Right.
All right, and then they come back, and then he comes back out with the mask, and the thing is that this guy eluded an ice raid.
No. The next thing you see, he's in the arena with the mask on.
With the mask on, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Pepe Avocado, because he was picking out he was picking avocados.
Right.
Right.
Sounds like a fiery young baby face.
Bro, this too many people.
Yeah, way too many. It was absurd.
Incredible heat from the fans. They came there to have a good time. There really were no bad matches. Just too many people in this. And yeah, I mean, when Atlantis was, even when when Hardwood was getting heat on him, the people were booing Atlantis. Please end this rivalry between FTR and Atlantis. But go ahead.
So as somebody,
would you like to bury Brody King's Abolish Ice T-shirt so that he can on you on Twitter again?
Oh, he had Abolish Ice T-shirt. I didn't notice.
Not what it said, Harry. Abolish Ice.
that's what it said when he came out to the ring.
Well, he's playing that. That crowd loves it.
So as somebody that doesn't watch CMLL, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm more focused on AAA, the product I prefer. I had no clue that Atlantis had this type of heat and that his son had this type of heat in Arena, Mexico. So I started looking online why it was, and it's supposedly because people look at the situation with Atlantis Jr. coming along so quick in his career and winning masks and beating legends and all that as a sign of nepotism, where it's like if it weren't for his father and that he's the Atlantis Jr. character, he wouldn't be in that spot. So everybody just decided, you know what, we're going to turn on these two guys. That doesn't happen in the States when he's with AEW, but in Mexico, they didn't let it go.
I think this would be two good characters if you had like the son of Iceman King Parsons and the son of the Big Boss Man. They formed a tag team. They were kind of like an ice characters. The Big Boss Man's son and Iceman King Parsons. Konnan's going to try to kazoo that, but
yeah, I will.
He's no.
I hope that doesn't.
Are you waiting for the debut of Pepe Avocado's debut? He needs to beat up Mr. Iguana because we got to get some heat. We got to get some good heat right away. We booked
I
that,
think
Konnan? Pepe Ricardo and
a
Uncle Mingo?
character that's an ICE agent right now would get a lot of heat.
How would this get over? Mr. Iguana is doing his ring entrance, and I come running down the ramp behind him and smack him right in the back with the chair and knock him down. And it's the new GIF, you know?
Right.
Meltdowns.
Yeah, that'd be a great spot. You know, the only reason that spot's still a GIF these days is because I sold it so well.
Yeah.
It's actually yesterday was the anniversary of that. Did you see that?
The anniversary.
I posted it on the right day.
Yeah, Joe posted that. It was the anniversary, however many years it's been, to the day of what's his name? Smacking with the
27 years it would be then.
27 years ago. Wow.
Oh, that's riveting news.
So next,
would you consider that Parker took liberties there, Di? Because I saw he got a couple extra shots in after you hit the ground too.
yeah, he did. Well, he was trying to get some heat on me because he was going to do the job at the pay-per-view to me.
Yeah, he
so
was.
let's make sure that I was going to be
No
put
job.
on the loop. So next was so the good guys won. All right. And Atlantis rolled him up in a bocce finish. Mark Briscoe against Okada. So they had a little video package, and the reason they're having this match is because Briscoe's liked Kenny Omega for a long time, and they're friends, and he's got his back. So they have a match, and I'm sorry, if you're trying to build up Okada and Kenny Omega into something, he should not be going 14 minutes with. I know Briscoe cuts good promos; he's a good character, but he does not present himself in the ring as somebody that should be going like he should be like the Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant. Like, get in there, do your stuff, play the crowd, and then a quick 3-5 minute match. This did not do Okada well, in my opinion, because it took him way too long to beat this guy. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Briscoe's a fan favorite. Wrestlers like him, and so does Tony. So they don't want to beat him that quick, but he always loses to the top guys, just about. Or am I wrong,
dude?
Harry?
No, because he does. But here's the issue. Okay, is that when Tony is just trying to tell you, I'm sure I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure this is what it goes by. He's just telling these guys to go out there and have a great match. I don't think he's really telling them, okay, hey, the story of this is like, we got Kenny and Okada coming out. It's a big thing. Mark, you gotta, this is his time right now. We need you to sell a lot here. This needs to be pretty decisive. We'll give you a little comeback, but he needs to go over strong. And it's like, 13 minutes later, and they just had a competitive match. It's like that's not what I really wanted to sell you versus Kenny,
Right.
But I think that's what they told them to do, and they're fine with it, So, but it's like whatever. Any comments on this?
No, I agree. Go ahead.
Briscoe's one of the guys that wrestles the most in AEW, and I'm a fan of his, but I'm not invested anytime he's in the ring because I know he's in there to do the job. If he's against somebody that's either in the middle to upper card, and if it's the middle to lower card, then he might win. But it's like just not invested.
So MJF comes out, and he's all dolled up in an American flag outfit, like it looks like basically something if it's in 2025, if MJF was Kurt Angle, what he would wear to the ring, basically. So the Mystico comes out. I guess he has Mystico made his entrance to Me Muero by la Quinta Estación. I guess all the fans do this. Was that some special thing they did there?
Do you want to
Harry?
explain that, or you want me to explain it?
Either
So Mystico, back in the day in the 2000s when he was the biggest luchador, the most popular one in Mexico, he was in the video for this song, and they filmed it there in Arena, Mexico, and it was a pretty popular song. So that was his entrance music, but then he stopped using it when he went to WWE, and they started using a different version of Mystico. So it had been a long time, like 14, 15 years since that song had been used as the entrance music for Mystico. So the fans in the stands, they knew the song because of all the times that he used it in the 2000s, mid 2000s before his WWE run. And it was something that, you look at the clips online, you look at the live broadcast, and everybody ate it up, and that was a huge success. And look, Tony Khan, he's not scared of spending money to use songs like this, like the one that Daniel Bryan uses.
Final Countdown.
All that stuff. So it's like,
and he did it also, Harry. He did it with Punk, where he used his original Ring of Honor song when he wrestled MJF. It was that kind of thing. The old classic song that the hardcores would know the guy from.
Right. All right. So next, so they go in. Okay. So I'm going to say this because hopefully, maybe people will take me and not realizing I'm trying to get on Sportskeeda. Okay. Because I'm going to say this.
Start clipping right now, Sportskeeda. Now
right,
start clipping.
So Mystico came out in Mexican flag and Mexican colors. So base that, also add that to the Brody King abolish ICE and the American versus the Mexican. They're basically fanning the flames of xenophobia here, and that's the angle. They're doing racial tensions between Mexico and the United States. They're playing off on it on television.
Yeah. There's no room in pro wrestling or sports for that kind
or
of
just
behavior.
the fact that it's perfect because whenever Mexico plays the United States in soccer, it's like it's just like that. So it's like but then the fans. Let me ask you a question, Konnan. Were the fans doing the offensive chant that they do at the soccer games in this?
No, but they were doing another one.
That's offensive that the Mexican fans do, but
yeah, they weren't doing the "Hey puto." They were going. That was. What
does that mean? Oh, okay. So culero's asshole, culero.
Right. So
that's funny.
I will say this. It was
okay. Well, what it is this? So they had the match, and what's his name? So this was a weird finish.
yeah, this was a cheap cop-out finish. Right.
Okay.
Without
the
referee
doesn't see it. Without the referee seeing it.
Right.
And he covers him up 1-2, but there's a kick out. All right. So now they get up and he just straight on walks up and kicks him and gets DQ'd. And they couldn't beat the guy with so they had to give him 2, so they had to get DQ'd. So that was the way they got out of it, which is, I imagine a lot of fans were wondering,
how.
I mean, MJF can take an L. It's like his character is not going to be damaged whatsoever by taking a loss to Mystico in Arena Mexico. So I think they made a mistake here. After the
they
match,
just wanted to protect both of them.
Right. After the match, MJF and the Hurt Syndicate beat down Mystico and threatened to pull off his mask. Then MJF peeled off his mask and put it on his own face. Mystico was forced to cover his face. Then Bandito and Templario ran down the ramp and created a distraction. So our boys Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight could attack the Hurt Syndicate with an aerial assault.
Whew.
And helped Mystico to his feet and provided him with another mask. Then Mystico celebrated with Knight and Bailey what looked like a Sin Cara-style mask. What do you think about the angle between Kevin Knight and Speedball Bailey challenging the Hurt Syndicate for the world titles?
Yeah, they're going to get squashed. But
I thought
the Hurt Syndicate really didn't add anything to this. They're just standing out there,
Right.
They had a couple of play spots where they actually attacked Mystico while the
a little bit of interference, yeah.
Yeah, but I that's what you brought him down for. But anyways,
dude, they're probably
especially MVP speaks Spanish.
How old is Bobby Lashley and how old is Sheldon Benjamin?
Mid to late 40s.
Look that up.
Yeah,
no. I think they're 50. I think Sheldon
Lashley
might be
is 48. Turns 49 in July.
And how about Sheldon?
And Shelton Benjamin 49. Is 49, turns 50 this year.
All right. I'm going to make a statement here. These guys, I've got a lot of tread on the tires, even though they look great. Bro, these guys are up there in age.
Right.
You're wasting time with like this, like spending like 3, 4, 5 weeks with Kevin Knight and Bailey, but Speedball Bailey, that adds up. And then you waste time, bro. The next thing you know, it's like a half a year's gone by, and these guys haven't gotten any traction with anybody.
Plus,
just the Hurts, they haven't been a significant angle or nothing.
Plus, using guys like that have a little, experience, tread on the tires, like you said, when they're getting up there. Guys like Punk or Bryan, who could have had bigger matches early in their AEW tenures, both got hurt, right? So you got to be careful with guys like Lashley and Sheldon too. They could have got hurt, and not last night, but in a match and stuff like that, a lower tier match.
Well, bro,
whole plans get screwed up.
We've been Konnan have been talking about this for a couple of weeks. That they've left this on the table. They haven't gone there, and the WWE went ahead and did it. It's the Hurt Syndicate you come down and have a face off with the Death Riders.
Yep.
I mean, what are you waiting for?
There's your top of the card.
You immediately have a great angle on top. They are baby faces, and Lashley or MJF could be the guy like that. Maybe they could have an inner struggle as to who's going to fight Moxley for the belt and stuff. Bro, there's so much stuff you could do there. And like he's there with Speedball Bailey and Kevin Knight because I think Tony thinks it's going to be a good match or something. I don't know. It's like that's kind of ridiculous. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. And there's more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played with the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NHL, and UFC. And in between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino. All the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino action. So BetOnline, the game starts here. So next was Ricochet and Lio Rush came out for their four-way against Hologram and Mascara Sagrada. Ricochet and Rush were kind of working in unison. But of course, the Luchadors, Lio Rush is brought in here to lose, basically, put in this match. He can't beat Ricochet right now because he's actually done too many jobs lately. And Hologram goes over. What do you guys think of this?
I like this match. It was lucha, kind of a weak premise. Oh, whoever wins gets 4 million pesos.
Oh, right, 4 million. But how much is that?
Like $200,000.
Right. Interesting. $200,000. Well, 4 million pesos. Do you know why they did that? Because Tony, everybody giggles. Let's have a 4 million peso match, and so you could giggle about it.
It's a four-way match. Let's do it a 4 million peso challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
So next, Mercedes Moné. By the way, this was all. This show was booked as a house show. No backstage angles or much. Just whatever. Maybe because they couldn't produce them down there. I don't know what the restrictions were, but I wasn't a fan of just. These are all just matches because the Mercedes Moné is wrestling some girl. Joe, get the soundbite ready. Some girl named Zeus.
Is that guy?
Tremendous.
So
It refers to Zeus.
yes,
The women's champion.
We haven't done
CMLL's
that.
women's champion.
we haven't done this in a while, but do you guys want to hear the wrestling couples update?
Sure, why not? Before we get into the Zeus
Mercedes-
versus Monet, Mercedes.
Yeah,
Mercedes
Moné-
Monet and Beast. Conan, what do you think about the relationship between Mercedes Monet and the lawyer, the Beast Frank, the lawyer, the Beast, also known as the Beast Mortis?
Yeah, he had told me before, but he didn't tell me her name. He goes, "Yeah, I'm going out with this black chick," and I thought,
That's how he described her.
"Yeah, with a black girl." Okay, and
I couldn't say like, "Hey, I'm going out with Mercedes Monet."
he didn't want to tell me. I guess somebody was around him, and he goes, and I was thinking something like Queen Amanat or like that, or Red
Right.
Velvet, and then I go, "Well, why don't you tell me?" He goes, "I'll tell you when I see you," which made me believe somebody was around him.
Right, and it was possibly somebody more famous than those two.
The biggest,
Right.
one of the biggest.
All
Yeah.
right, so when
Hey,
Monet
and-
goes in, I watched this match and I was not that impressed with the Zeus chick, but Mercedes
She had
beat
a couple of cool moves, dude. She had a
but she
couple of
did-
moves where I was like, hey, that looked really good on TV.
I'm sorry, it's just like I watch a lot of these girls on TV, and there is a definite distinction in between the ones that stay very fit and look like $1 million and the girls that don't stay as fit as they should based on their spot on the card. And this Zeus chick looked like that to me because I didn't, like Mercedes looked like the big star here,
But she is.
Yeah. So after the match,
But I loved it that the finish, it was pretty much a move that Zeus's had already done, and then Mercedes reversed it, and she was able to
Yeah,
finish the match that way.
completely fake move. That's ridiculous. I don't know how you could. That move is impossible. Okay, she's got the person up for a body slam, and the girl like flips her out of the mat. I don't know how you do whatever. So it was
Sasha's move.
whatever it was. Everybody popped. She wins. Now she's holding up all the belts. A Tony Storm video plays on the screen, but now they're watching the video screen. Tony comes up behind her in the ring and gives her a suplex, and they have like she goes crazy on her, tries to attack her, and gets pulled away, attacked her, pulled away, and said she got on the microphone at the end and said, "Let the games begin." Yeah, but it is kind of funny that you know what, this is funny. So here's Mercedes Moné. She wins the belts. She's got like all these belts again now. She's dating the Beast Mortis, okay, and supposedly they had gone. Beast Mortis was a AAA talent or an A. Was he a AAA talent, Conan?
Yep.
Okay.
CMLL first, then
And CMLL, they had to
Yeah,
go
but
ask
they had him
permission.
as kind of a jobber in CMLL. And
They had to go. They had to get him permission to wrestle in CML because I guess CMLL still has that petty thing going on where
Right,
they still have that
stupid.
going on, right? Okay, so they had to get permission from Mercedes Moné boyfriend to get on the show so he could get into this match. That was interesting, in my opinion.
Because-
if you look at that story collectively, go ahead.
Rush and Realístico, they weren't even in Mexico for this show, and they are former CMLL guys who left through the back door and weren't their persona non grata there. they didn't even make the trip. Mortos made the trip, and Tony Khan went and spoke with the boss, with Salvador, and he was able to get him to perform in this show, which was unexpected, but I'm happy it happened. So for some reason, Claudio wasn't there.
Okay, that's what I want to ask.
Said he had
okay,
a visa issue or something.
Well, that's what I'm assuming. Visa issues for him, and the what you kid just got had that legal issue recently,
Cash
right?
Wheeler.
Yeah, so he probably.
But that was 2 years ago, and it just got cleared
so
a month ago.
So why would he not have been? Maybe they said that there was still a visa issue over the incident.
He couldn't travel out of the country.
Look that up, Joe. Look on
Yeah.
Grok. Say, why was Claudio Castagnoli not at AEW Grand Slam last night?
Maybe they were scared for Mexican ice.
They're rounding up the Canadian. Well, where's that? What's his name from?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yeah, they're rounding up the Swiss. Okay, so I got a question for you, Harry. You keep up on this more than I do.
Mortos, how about that? Since it went public, he's been in one main event. That's more main events than before in AEW Dynamite.
Riddle me this, Konnan. What did you think of this segment here?
Which one?
The Monet against Soutsis with the.
It was too short. You know, one looks like a star, the other just like you said.
Right.
I like the aftermath more than the actual match.
Right.
I think she's got way too many belts. That's really it. I thought the whole show was good. It had a good atmosphere. People came to be entertained. Oh, we still got one more match. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't trust Grok anymore, so I don't know if this is right. But it says Claudio had recently wrestled in Wales and then had a match shortly in England. So it's basically saying like it didn't make any sense for him to go from Wales to Mexico back to England in a short period of time.
Oh, so now they're trying to save money on flights.
Hey, Tony Khan went from Paris to Khan to Mexico the same way.
Yet he flies Osprey every week from England. Nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, so
all
right.
Konnan, it was a 10-minute match.
Right.
I think it should have been longer, but at the same time, I'm the same person that was complaining that Okada versus Mark Briscoe went 14, 15 minutes. So
yeah.
I'm like, you know what? It was a short match. They were able to get their stuff in. I enjoyed the match, and hey, 6 belts now for Mercedes Moné. Too many, but look, you'll have a chick with 6 belts and Tony Storm with the big one. I feel like, okay, makes sense for the storyline in the All-In show.
All right, what did I miss here? So the next match, the main event is Ospreay, Hobbs, Samoa Joe, Shabbat, and Swerve against Moxley, the Jacksons, Wheeler, Yuta, and the Beast Mortis. All right, why is Ospreay have bandage on his head and a black eye?
From last week, the attack from the Jacksons.
So he's selling the black. He's still got a bandage on, like a bandage around his head, like his wound is open.
And a black eye, maybe 4 or 5
black
days.
eyes, you can sell that, but like, dude, that looks like the angle, like when you get beat up earlier in the show, and you wrap the bandage around your head, and you come out later like Hacksaw Jim Duggan in Mid-South Wrestling back in 1983. That's the spot. Not like a week later he's got there selling it. Like it just. It's a week later. They're selling like it happened that morning.
That is known in wrestling as the Spirit of 76.
The Spirit is right. Spirit of 76. Yeah, exactly. So they go out. So Swerve and Ospreay are on friendly terms again. So this goes. So Maria Shafir got involved and distracted Ospreay, allowed Moxley to roll up Swerve with a handful of tights for the win. So the heels go over in the main event. And the show is
the same finish as the opening match.
A big arena like that, they would have put the baby faces up. But after the match, Hangman Page got involved and brawled, and then Moxley avoided the buckshot lariat. The Hangman hit Matt Jackson with the clothesline instead. Then Moxley tried to ambush Hangman with the briefcase, but thought better when all the baby faces showed up in the ring, and then they all just kind of very awkward out at the end. They all kind of went up the ramp, and then literally Hangman, I guess, didn't think they were powdering out fast enough, maybe as a shoot, and ran up there, and then they literally all the heels ran away from him, and it was not the best look in the show. In my opinion. So, what do you guys think? What do you think of this, Konnan?
Moxley, and I don't know why Yuta had really good heat with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Just by this time, I was kind of tired. I'd seen enough AEW and so many matches and so many people, and kind of over.
It was a 2.5-hour show too, by the way. They ran like it wasn't the 4 hour.
240.
Yeah, bro. You didn't need the next. These matches could have been like, you could have shaved 5 minutes off. These things have been fine. So I don't know.
I just
What you
hated that
think?
the first match and the last match ended in a small package. I'm like, dude, it's lazy booking.
Right.
Have people pop with the finish, with a finisher, with a hold that makes people tap out. Just these small packages, even as a diehard AEW fan, they just like make the mood go down. You go to Mexico, you got a small package to open the show, and then you got a low blow in the second match. You got a small package in the last match. It's like you want fans to come back.
Exactly. Then here's another thing too, and even though I'm not a big fan of the guy, okay, but a lot of the WWE structure and the way they do things is based on the Johnny Ace finishes. The WWE finishes are very well structured and lead up to and they're just they get to a big pop, until you get to a big pop for the finish. And it's like in this company, they kind of just let the talent just kind of figure everything out, and the idea is it's not really built up like that. A lot of finishes come out of nowhere after a big long match, and it's like you don't get as much. You get bigger pops on the false finishes, and you are getting on the finish, which is not the
ideal.
optimum or the type of thing you want to match. So I was like, yeah. So, but the show was like there was a standalone show, and it was just centered around the Mexican wrestlers, and I guess they tried to tell. They kept the storyline going with Hangman, but everything else was kind of they didn't really touch on, except Mercedes.
Yeah, they really didn't do anything to build up the pay-per-view. Now that I think of it,
Mercedes and Tony at post-match,
maybe that's the only one.
and Hangman helping out
Moxley.
there, whatever. Yeah, but he he cut his promos better, so I don't know what he said.
Bro,
so.
but All In is in when? A week or two?
3 weeks.
No. It's
No, they got plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah,
still in July.
Prior to that, they're going to have a big Dynamite 300. I think the week before. I was just looking at it.
Well, the one thing AEW has done over the course of time is like sometimes this is like deja vu. How many times they say they're 3 weeks out of a pay-per-view and everybody's complaining, but their final like week and a half, like week push, like they'll do some stuff and everything, to get in there, and then they can have enough on a video package to play before the match. It's like, okay, this looks like a decent angle. Yeah, but 3 weeks out is like there's plenty of time, So I'm not
what was
criticizing for that,
You talk about counter programming, so I guess, and Harry, you would know this better than me. I guess AEW moved their show so they wouldn't go against Saturday night's main event, correct?
correct. Earlier in the day, yeah.
Right. So WWE has a show the day before, the night before, the day of, and the day after.
In Texas, like right there by the area.
So All In Texas is in the afternoon now. 3
Yeah, and I
wanna-
Central. Eastern. Okay.
I want to make a comment here too.
Which I mean, 2 p.m. Central, they might still end like at 10 p.m. with the way they run the things, right?
Well, listen. Everybody's talking, and like that's the narrative now. But wow, WWE is really counter programming against the AEW. And it's like they might be, but let's consider that there's 104 days, Saturdays and Sundays, and 52 weeks here. There's 104 days where you're going to have the potential for crossover because both of these companies have pay-per-views, Saturday main events.
This doesn't seem like that was that.
I'm aware of that, but they're not doing it every single week.
Well, it's been
Like
late.
if we go back in a calendar year, how many times will it have happened in a 52-week period?
Out of the 52 weekends this year, how many weekends do WWE have live shows like house shows programmed? They're not running house shows anymore.
Yeah,
they're just doing these.
They're not. But,
they're just doing these house shows to have shows in the vicinity in the state to be like, okay, maybe we steal some people from them and we get some people in a non-televised show.
That's business.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like you're not going to go to these collision tapings and steal from an audience when only 3,000 people showing up in this sponsor house. You're going to you go to the big areas. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
nobody cares for collision tapings, but it's a big pay-per-view. All In is a pay-per-view. It's the big show, and for them to run it, it's like, hey, you know what? They feel like there's a need to run a show that's at the same time or the same day as the big AEW shows right now.
Well,
or even like Mexico, you got them. WWE running what's it called? What was it called? Worlds Collide a week and a half before the Arena Mexico show. And it's like, okay, steal the thunder. And they did a pretty good job at it.
I'm going to go another step further here. Okay. I think it's good for the business. Let me tell you why. Because number one, 3.5 years ago, okay, that AEW on a weekly basis in their weekly TV was getting close to WWE in the demo And I think there was one week where Raw was 1.51 million and AEW was like 1.2 something. It's like they weren't. They were coming. It's like a horse race. You're coming around the turn. It's like the closer's in range, and if you keep going, you're going to pass them and cross the finish line first possible. It looked like that, right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden they're getting a sniff of competition. So WWE, what they do? They up their game. What WWE is doing now is now they're getting complaints about their game. Okay, people are saying that WWE's it's been lame, creative, and everything. But I'll go back and say well, you know why? It's because they don't feel like they have any competition. When they feel like they get competition, their product gets better. So I wonder if they're actually picking a fight to try to make the AEW be more competitive to rise to where high tides rise all ships.
And
to make
look,
their
over the
product get
last
better,
over the last 3-4 months, we can say that AEW has been doing a way better job than they did in 2024.
I won't say way better. I said they're doing some more things right. Okay, but the whole thing, bro, this whole narrative, this AEW resurgence stuff. They say, dude, you're still doing 3,000 seat arenas, and you're not getting over 700,000 a week. When you start getting up, hover around, and you can start getting over 700 once every 3 weeks or so, you're doing better.
Nah.
But right now, this all is their fans like the shows. Okay, that's fine. I kind of like some of the shows too, but we're not seeing any significant factors that are making them competitive to WWE. Except
I'm just saying, the in-ring product and even promos and backstage stuff, it has been better the last 3-4 months compared to how it was in 2024.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's not being reflected in the numbers because they're not attracting a new audience. And like you guys say every show, they're booking for their fan base.
Right.
Yeah. When I go back to watching it, that means they're popular again. I'm the barometer right now.
That's true. Just like with me with WWE. When I was would go to work and it's 8:00 on Friday and it's SmackDown's on. Let me turn it on right now because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Now I wait till later on. I see it because it's just not. It doesn't interest me like that because the ratings aren't doing as good as they were. So whatever. Coney, any final comment on AEW Dynamite?
No, like I said, good show, good atmosphere, good matches. I don't think there was a bad match that I can remember.
Bad finishes, but not bad matches.
Bad finishes, correct. And right. I wouldn't mind this being a yearly thing, Grand Slam Mexico.
Interesting.
Can I ask Harry a question before he rolls?
But by the way, Conan, we got quoted by the dirt sheets.
Right.
Because you told us a story when at the you said, hey, I think we hit a home run. And you said Tony Khan said, we think we hit a grand slam.
Khan.
So people took that. Okay, and because AEW Dynamite was doing Grand Slam on Wednesday,
right.
They extrapolated that into that was a story because maybe Nick Khan had AEW. I'm like, no, we were so I had to put this quote and say, bro, the context of this, we were talking about the social media numbers, the viewership.
Right.
That's when they hit the Grand Slam. It's because so many. I wonder what the numbers on that now, Joe. Look up what the views are on that show now.
And it's just a baseball term, dude. It's like a home run. It's it's a grand slam.
It's like a common term. They think it was invented in AEW. AEW invented it, right?
Collide is 3.3 million views YouTube only. Of course, it doesn't that doesn't include everything else. Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to ask Konnan a quick question. Who's going to win the race to have a first pay-per-view in Mexico from now until it happens? WWE or AEW?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
With the way that they're programming, I feel like WWE should seriously consider it right now and have a show down there before AEW. Because if not, AEW is going to jump the gun and have one of their big shows down there. So I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So that's been the AEW Dynamite.
All right.
Oh, did we get the numbers yet? Are the numbers out yet, Joe?
I was looking and it said something about the holiday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
there's
nothing.
We're not going to get it. Oh, all right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Joe, you said you had a question, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we okay with time, Disco?
Yeah.
Do you want to move on? Or do you want me to ask? It's not important. It's almost like a mail.
No. All we got to do is the Raw review.
I was just curious when Harry was doing the review and talking about guys like Ospreay. as a hardcore AEW fan, who do you think, from your perspective as a viewer, was the biggest loss of talent that AEW has lost in the last few years? Punk, Cody, Jade Cargo, and so on, Pentagon. And what's been the best sign talent in the last few years when you got your Ospreys, Ricochets, and Okadas and whatnot. So who was who hurt the most leaving and who was helped the most joining?
Biggest loss, Cody Rhodes. I feel that they could have done way bigger things with him and turned him heel towards the end, and they didn't do it, obviously, with the contract running up. And the biggest addition, I would definitely say Will Ospreay and not Hangman, sorry, Will Ospreay and Swerve. Those two have done a great job with their characters. And
wait a minute, wait 1 second. Not Ishii?
I'm gonna go one better. I think the Hurt Syndicate's a better.
I was thinking,
just because the metrics don't add up for Ospreay. They lost like almost 200,000 viewers from the calendar year from the time he started to the time Okada, Ospreay, and Monet started in like March of last year. How long ago?
Like January to March last year, yeah.
Yeah, and bro, they lost like 200,000 viewers. They didn't capitalize on their value and everything. And now they got the Hurt Syndicate on TV, and everybody and their mother says these guys look like all of a sudden now you get some characters that look like legit stars on there.
And that's
and people talk about like they've had more value to the show than those guys have. Just on the presence.
We've made comparisons to like stocks before. Like this is like buying this guy low. Tony bought Ospreay high price stock. And I'd say he probably went down, but he bought Swerve as a low price stock, and Swerve's stock, went way up. I think Swerve's was a better addition just because of that. He's a bigger star than he'd ever been.
I'm going to ask you a question, okay, Joe? If Bitcoin is worth $100,000 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were a Bitcoin, how much do you think you would be worth?
Oh, 102,000.
I disagree. I'd say something like 7,000.
Yeah.
Konnan, how much? If you were a Bitcoin, Konnan, how much would you be worth?
I don't know. I don't really know that much about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'd say you'd be worthless as a Bitcoin. I would say it's something worth.
Less than who?
Less than
was then its value.
Less than the only person you'd be beating is Pepe Avocado.
Don't be rude.
Joe's man in the ones and twos. All right, Harry.
Run off the rails, Disco.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.